Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. We're waiting on the seventh member to come in, and thank you, Representative Watson, for coming in. So appreciate it. It's okay. I know how it is. So what we're going to do is briefly listen to a few of the bills and then assign them to subcommittees. There will be 3 subcommittees, one being Hope Lottery Subcommittee, Public-Private Institutions, and Student Finance. And there's a list. Buck may have to give you a list if you want it. We're going to take the bills by order, lower number. Representative Evans, you want to come up and just briefly tell us what you're going to do, and then we'll assign it to the subcommittee. To
Good afternoon. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the opportunity to present the bill. And even though he's not here, I want to thank Chairman Earhart for his guidance in this process. It's the first time I've been able to present a bill, and so I appreciated his learned advice. House Bill 54 lowers the GPA requirement for the HOPE grant, which is different from the HOPE scholarship. The bill would lower the grant GPA requirement from a 3.0 to a 2.0. It doesn't touch the scholarship whatsoever. The HOPE grant goes only to students who attend technical colleges, not to our traditional 4-year colleges and universities. And prior to the changes that the legislature enacted in 2011, the HOPE grant never had a GPA requirement at all. So this bill basically restores it back to the way it was prior to 2011, recognizing its place as the job force development component of the HOPE project that was implemented in the 90s. Why do we need to do this? We know that the technical college system, that within the technical college system, 42,000 students lost the HOPE grant over the last year. Left the system. That lost the, excuse me, got so many numbers in my head. 42,000 students left the technical college system last year. Of those, we know that about 21%, 8,900, lost the HOPE grant because their GPA fell below a 3.0. We also know that of the remainder of those 42,000 students, a lot of them left because they could not afford the difference in what the HOPE grant paid, which last year was about 81%, and what their tuition was. These are very cost-sensitive students. They're the most cost-sensitive students we have in higher education. Most of them, and by most of them I mean the vast majority of them, over 95% I believe, come from household incomes of less than $40,000. So when you take even a percentage of their grant money away, it hurts them and they're not able to come back. We just simply can't afford to be losing this many students from our technical colleges right now, when we hear over and over from various levels of our government that the biggest problem Georgia faces right now is a skills gap, getting folks on the assembly line, getting the welders. We got plenty of liberal arts majors like me, political science degree folks. What we need are people with these technical skills, and that's what our technical colleges do, and we just can't afford to be losing these students. The governor has proposed a plan in his State of the State to target specific degree areas where we have the largest need, the largest gaps: nursing, truck driving, and there's a couple others. I applaud the governor for that. I think that's a great plan. This complements that. These together, again, would not be a complete fix for the problems that we're facing, but they would help a lot. And so I compliment the governor on that, and I think that these two things together would really help our technical college system. The biggest question I've heard is how we're going to pay for this. There's a fiscal note that I've given to most of you, and if I haven't, I will be sure to get that around to you, that says the higher end of doing this GPA lowering is $8.8 million. Now, I know $8.8 million is not nothing, but I also know that in the grand scheme of things, that's a relatively low number. And at least one place, I'm going to tell you at least 2 places where I know we can get this money from, and then I will stop talking because I know you just wanted a brief presentation. But this is important. Because so many students left the technical college system that were originally HOPE grant recipients before the changes were implemented, their tuition payments were budgeted. And since they left, I hate to talk about it like this, because they left, there was a savings of about $75 million. There's projected for the next year that we're going to lose another 18,000 students, so there'll be a further savings, which together is about $100 million. $8.8 million is less than 10% of that money that was already earmarked for the HOPE grant program and should stay in that program. It's just not a good time to take money away from the technical colleges. The second place that I suggest we could get the money is by increasing, putting some pressure on the Lottery Corporation to increase the percent that they pay into the education education fund. Last year they paid 25.3% into the education fund. Certainly the legislation as originally introduced in the 90s encouraged the Lottery Corporation to get as near as practicable to 35%. If you were to ask the Lottery Corporation simply to increase the payment to the education fund by 0.2%, which I'm told by financial experts in the grand scheme of the Lottery Corporation budget would be a rounding error, that's $7.5 million, which comes pretty darn close to the $8.8 million. And I fully recognize, and I would agree with the Lottery Corporation when they tell you that there is a time where we're increasing the amount that they pay to the Lottery Education Fund will hurt the program and the revenues will be less, whereas if we lower the award payouts for the scratch-off tickets or the jumbo lotto, I absolutely agree with that 100%. I'm an economics major, I get it. But just to think about this, we want to make sure that people keep playing the lottery and that the revenues go up. Point two, if you were to play a scratch-off game with the opportunity to win $1,000. If you were to lower that payout by 0.2%, that payout is $998. I would challenge you to find somebody who would play that game for $1,000, the chance to win $1,000, but would not play it for the chance to win $998. And that is the difference between putting students back into our technical colleges. And I just think it's right for the economy, it's right for students, it's right for the system. And I appreciate the opportunity to present the bill and look forward to subcommittee.
Okay. Well, since you praised Chairman Earhart, you get to have him as your chairman again. So
fantastic.
So he could not be here this afternoon, but it's going to that subcommittee. Chairman Earhart, Representative Ramsey, Representative Calvin Smyrie, Representative Katie Dempsey, and Representative Pat Gardner.
Fantastic.
So you'll have to wait on his call.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee.
All right, Representative. Is that Calvin? Okay. Representative Smyrie?
That's okay. Since I'm going to be on the subcommittee, I reserve for that point. I just feel so strongly about the Hope Scholarship Program. When we created, I was chair of this committee, and anytime we try to make it so that the public can access it, to me is always commendable. But at the same time, I want to make sure we look at it from a holistic standpoint. So, Mr. Chairman, I reserve my comment to the subcommittee meeting.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Okay, next is House Bill 75, Representative Kidd. If you can be a little bit more brief, I would appreciate it. So.
Yes, sir. I'll be extremely brief. 75 is the exact same bill that passed this committee 3 separate times now. Each time it got into the Rules Committee, and for various reasons didn't get out of the Rules Committee. It doesn't require any funds. It say if and when funds are made available. It basically says that if there are students who want to continue their education into the military, there are 2 choices they can go to. One's North Georgia College, and the other one will be GMC in Milledgeville if they meet all the requirements. Here again, it would be when funds were made available, which might be 2 years from now, 5 years from now, whatever. Here again, it's passed the committee a couple of times already. Just hope we get through rules this year.
Okay, good. Well, we're going to assign it to public-private institutions. And the subcommittee chair will be Chuck Williams and Representative Ben Watson, Scott Holcomb, Chuck Sims, John Pizzo, and Ronnie Mabry.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next one is, and we have pulled, which one we pulled? We're going to pull 114. It is not ready, so. So pull 114 out of your package. Okay, House Bill 131, Representative Valerie Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen of the committee, I bring for your consideration House Bill 131, and as our guest today, this is Mr. Tracy Ireland, and he's the Vice President of the Georgia Student Finance Commission. This is a bill that gives the same advantage to the final grade of students in dual enrollment classes as is given to students who take advanced placement classes in their high school. Dual enrollment students are enrolled in their high school, and they're also enrolled in college. They get a final grade, and this goes on their high school transcript and gives them college credit, hopefully. And advanced placement classes, as you all know, are classes that a student can take in their own high school, possibly for college credit, and they're usually taught by the high school teacher. Because of the difficulty of an advanced placement class, students have a 0.5 added to their average when they're calculating for the HOPE average. And students who take dual enrollment are at a disadvantage because they also take a college level class but do not get this bump of the 0.5 in their HOPE scholarship determination. So it's proposed that students in academic dual enrollment classes also receive a 0.5 from the Georgia Student Finance Commission. And Mr. Ireland is here today to talk about the economic impact, and I'll save the rest of mine. This is just a teaser for committee. So,
Okay, good to have you here, Tracy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good afternoon. We took a look at the proposed legislation and have determined that while there is a fiscal impact to it, both possibly on the Excel program side and on the HOPE scholarship side, we believe that it's minimal in its impact. In other words, it may result in more students being eligible for HOPE out of high school. It also may result in a few more students taking Excel with this incentive.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to assign it to Student Finance, and the chairman is David Casas. David could not be here this afternoon. Representative Carol Fullerton, Representative David Knight, whose wife just had a baby. Representative Quincy Murphy, who's not feeling well, and Representative Amy Carter.
thank you, Mr. Chairman and
Thank you
committee.
for being here. Okay, any questions on the committee on any of the assignments? Any further discussion? Okay. All right, the subcommittees will be working, and we'll meet again probably next Tuesday at 3 o'clock, same room, same time. Thank you for being here.